Are you someone who always gets the short end of the stick in your relationships? Are you the person who always feels like people do you wrong? People always are trying to take advantage of you or run over you? Are you always easily offended by things that people do or say? Well, if that's you, I'm going to talk to you about how to stop taking things personally. And as cliche or simple as that sounds, it's actually a real skill to have if you want to live a life where you are more carefree, where you are not so attached to the people in your life and attached to how other people make you feel, while also nurturing relationships that are more fulfilling, reciprocal, and one that you feel more appreciated in. This is something that I naturally already did or was. Like, I was always someone who really didn't take a lot of things personally. But then it got to a point where it was something that I really wanted to hone in on because we live in a world of humans who are figuring life out, who have their own trauma and experiences going on, who are not self aware, who do not take the time to learn themselves or learn how to treat people until it's too late. And it gets to a point where you have to detach yourself from people in your life, especially family, who may not see your worth and who will not really pour into the relationship from a perspective of like you both respect each other, you both are aligned in your relationship, and there's just a certain level of boundaries that you both have for each other. So learning to not take things so personally will just kind of lift the weight off your shoulders. It will also allow you to give people more grace and also give yourself more grace in relationships. But also, like, you don't have time to be worried about what someone said or did to you, in the sense of like, if they're not physically harming you, if they're not threatening you, let go of the petty stuff and try not to take things so personally to where you're letting it affect your day-to-day life and your day-to-day the way you look at yourself. Because a lot of times when you take things personally, you start to think that something is wrong with you, when that statement where people are like, it's not you, it's me, that's a real thing. A lot of times in relationships, if you're someone who's self-aware, you're someone who takes accountability, and you know in a particular situation that you didn't do something wrong, 9 times out of 10, it's the other person, and they're not taking accountability. They're not wanting to change and grow, and that's not on you. So you shouldn't take it personal as if you did something wrong. If anything, just take notes and say, I got to make sure that I don't do people like that in relationships because I don't like the way that that made me feel. So I just have 3 things that worked for me and what really helped me to lock in on this mindset and help me to have better relationships with people, because I have people in my life who, like, they may say or do things that I could take personally, but I don't, because I understand myself to a higher level. I understand life to a higher level. So I just try not to let the petty things ruin my day, ruin my life. I don't sweat the small stuff. And that's the type of mindset I think that we all have to kind of embody if you want to live a life that's more fulfilling and one that is more free. So the first thing I want to say, and this is probably something that you really want to carry with you the rest of your life if you want to be more graceful, be more forgiving, and live more like Christ. Become aware of human nature. Understand that we are all products of our environment, and the way that we treat people is just based on what we know best. And that has to do especially with our parents. A lot of us, especially like Gen Z and even millennials, like, we have a lot of, I don't want to say hatred. A lot of people have a lot of conflict or issues with the way they were raised by their parents. And I personally dealt with that. But what I had to realize is that our parents just did the best that they thought they could or what they knew. And a lot of times parents raise us based on how their parents raised them. This is not to say that they can't take accountability, and not to say that they couldn't have went on another journey to learn and grow and become better as individuals and as parents. But it's just to say that honestly, they just did the best that they could based on the resources that they had and the knowledge that they had. A lot of people, most people, you guys, do not know themselves, and they really don't understand how this world works to the highest degree. I mean, even the most scientific, spiritual person is still learning things every single day about life in the world. And this thing is way bigger than we think. It's way bigger than what we think. All the small things that go on that we let control us is just really causing us more harm, damage, and it's really destroying our relationships and our communities. And so when it comes to understanding human nature and understanding the psychology behind why we do certain things, will help you to understand why you should give people more grace. For example, if you have a family member who is an alcoholic, right? And if you look at your family tree, that specific family member had parents who were also alcoholics, right? And let's just say those parents grew up in a time of Jim Crow. They may have grew up during times of, a lot of discrimination, a lot of racism, and it drove them to using substances to cope with everything. Maybe they grew up during the Great Depression, during the housing market crash in the early 2000s. They went through some detrimental things to where all they knew to cope was using substances. And what you guys don't know is this thing called epigenetics. And so what your parents did and what they do and like what you were born into while you were being created inside of the womb, you're predisposed to whatever your parents did and said and what they experienced. You're predisposed to it just through genetics, just through DNA. And so when you're born into this world and you start to kind of go through some of the similar things your parents went through, or you start to use some of the same substances that your parents use, that is just going to keep on carrying down a bloodline until someone breaks it. And that's why everyone talks about like generational curses. It's not more so of a curse. It really is a scientific thing that happens in humans. And so once you understand that, and once again, this is not to excuse any type of abuse, any type of parents not taking accountability, but it's just to help you understand that this thing is so deep. A lot of things are habitual, a lot of things are generational, and it's just a matter of understanding that so that you can have a bigger scope of how to process the information, but also understanding that you have to give a little bit of grace to people. And this is not to say that you should let people talk to you any type of way, treat you any type of way, nothing like that. That's not what I'm saying. I don't excuse disrespect, but what I'm saying is once you understand it, you should learn anyway how to deal with certain people. So like I have a specific family member this is a close family member who is mentally unstable, very unstable in their living ways, and they really need mental health help. They need a therapist, they need to go through a healing journey, they need to get close to God, like all those things that people do to really like change their mind and rewire their brain. This specific family member needs to do that, but I can't make them do that. I can't make them see it. All I can do is voice it to them and hope that they will understand and take action. But what I do is I understand it on a higher level, right? I don't have to voice to them what I know, but I can voice to them that I think that they need help, right? And then I just learn how to deal with that person. I can't call this person every day. I can't depend on this person to help me if I need something, but I can love this person and I can have certain conversations. So I just learn how to deal with that person and I give them grace. I don't expect too much out of them, and that's what it all boils down to. You don't expect so much out of people when you learn how to not take things so personally. So all in all, with this point, I just want to say, understand and become aware of human nature. Just read books about human nature, about psychology, about mental health. I'm a social work major. That's what my degree is in. I love studying human behavior and understanding why we do and say what we do. And so just give people grace and know that we are all operating out of what we know, what we've learned, and how we feel. So you never want to disregard how people feel, but you also want to be aware of how people make you feel, and just take note of it and understand, like I said, that they are operating off their own trauma, off their own experiences, and off their own knowledge. It's not for you to teach them. It's not for you to force them to change. It's for you to take note of it, understand it on a higher level, and deal with them accordingly. But you don't want to take it personally or expect too much out of them. Now, this next point kind of goes along with the last point. And this is something that I've actually been preaching a lot lately to even my family members. I literally be saying the most outlandish stuff to my family now because I'm just becoming more confident and comfortable in my beliefs, and I really stand strong in my beliefs. And my goal is to really help those around me and even people in the world live a better life that is, like I said, more purposeful, more fulfilling, to where they're more joyful, they're giving people grace, and they're just here to serve as we're all sitting here to do. And the number one thing, one of the top things, is detaching from titles and labels. Now, listen, guys, this is just me, okay? I feel like the world has conditioned us to overly attach ourselves to these labels such as mom, dad, sister, cousin, best friend, husband, wife. Like, we get so overly caught up in those labels that we forget that they're human and we forget that they are individuals. So kind of like what I was saying about the parent example earlier. This was the huge switch for me, especially like when it came to my dad, because like me and my dad had a relationship. We have a relationship where we're pretty close, but we have strong boundaries with each other because we had a huge, almost like fight like years ago, right? Over something so stupid. And ever since then, me and my dad have been good because, well, it was that, but it was also like when I was in that huge victim mentality, which is what I talked about in my last video about survival mode. But we got into this huge disagreement. But I don't want to say disagreement. It's more of literally like an argument and a fight, literally. Not like we didn't physically fight, but we almost got there. But when I was in that victimhood mentality as well, I started to see my dad as an individual and not as my dad. I started to see him as someone who was reacting to this person saying these things to him, doing these things to him. But I also, from my perspective, I'm like, I don't care about him being my dad. He's not going to talk to me crazy. He's not going to say whatever he wants to say to me. I want to be respected just as much as he wants to be respected. And so me just kind of like realizing that and kind of like internalizing how I was feeling, it made me realize like just because someone is your parent or your sister or your cousin or X, Y, and Z, that does not mean that they're going to treat you right or they're going to respect you a certain way. And I mean, I'm not saying that my dad didn't respect me, he doesn't love me, anything like that. But like during the heat of that moment, things just really opened up for me where I realized like it really does not matter. Like I just believe that everyone should respect each other to the highest degree, no matter what the title is. But a lot of times, especially like in the Black culture, people with certain titles, parents, grandparents, X, Y, and Z, feel like because of that title, they can treat you or talk to you a certain way. But on the flip side of that is also the idea of like you, the person who's taking things so personally, you feel like, oh, my mom shouldn't say these things to me or shouldn't treat me a certain way. And like I have family members, it's so funny because like when they talk, they're like that's your sister, like, because I had like a little falling out with my sister, and they're like, yeah, that's your sister, like you want to talk to your sister every day, like sisters da da da. And I'm like, I actually don't care about that. Like I don't care about her being my sister. Like I don't care who it is. I deserve respect. No one should feel like they can talk to me or treat me any kind of way, take advantage of me, no matter what. I am a human. We're all humans. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. I don't care what the title is. And so for me, like I just detach myself from those titles, and it also helped me to stop having such high expectations. And that's what really this whole thing is about. You stop expecting so much out of humans because you understand that we all are just figuring this thing out day by day. We're all living on this earth for the first time, and so we're all experiencing it for the first time, and we're learning as we go. And so and the thing is, some people in life want to change, and some people in life are going to stay the same. Some people are going to take accountability, some people are not. But it's for you. If you're watching this video, you're somebody who takes accountability and you want to live a certain lifestyle, you want certain type of relationships, you're going to take accountability, and you're going to be very intentional about your relationships. And you're going to stop taking things so personally, and you're going to stop expecting so much out of humans, because you understand how humans interact, and you understand their mind and their mindsets and their experiences. And so once you stop attaching yourself to these labels and these titles, you start to see people as individuals. So like, of course, that's my mom, that's my dad, but there's also Lee, that's his name, and there's also Brandy, that's her name. They are their own person. They have their own experiences, their own mindset, their own way of seeing things. We're not going to see eye to eye all the time, and I have to be okay with that just as much as they have to be okay with that. So to keep me from being so easily offended, or always being stuck in the past, or holding on to things that have happened, I detach myself from feeling like, oh, you're my mom, so you're supposed to make me feel a certain way. You're supposed to treat me a certain way. Yeah, in a perfect world, you will want to have the best relationship with all of your quote unquote family members, but that's just not the life that a lot of people get to live. So once you understand that whole like titles don't mean anything idea, and you detach yourselves from it, and you start to see people as individuals and not as that really intense label that you put on them, your life will become so much better. You will feel a lot more free, as I've been saying, and you will once again stop having such high expectations for people, especially if this same person always lets you down. They never stick to their word. You're just continuing to set yourself up for failure. What they say, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Is that type of idea and mentality that you need to have in order to not be so attached to this world, and also not be so attached to these humans. And the thing is, if you're living in Christ, if you follow God, if you follow Christ, you don't want to be so attached to this world, but also your brothers and sisters are your brothers and sisters in Christ, and scripture says that. So you may have family members who don't have the same spiritual principles or values, not beliefs, values and principles of how they treat each other. And so technically, if you're looking at it from a following Christ perspective, aka Christian perspective, you won't be so attached to the family that you have here on the earth. You're going to be connected to your spiritual family, those who follow Christ, those who are taking accountability, those who are learning how to treat and respect people, and also giving people grace, versus the people that are just your family by blood. You're going to detach yourself from feeling like these people owe you something, or you owe them something, and also just being so easily offended and so overly attached to the relationships that you have here on earth that are not benefiting you or are harmful to you, not in an abuse type of way, but in the sense of taking up too much of your energy, and it's not fulfilling the bigger goal, which is, you guys love each other, you're serving God, you're coming up with ideas to continue to grow, to become better. You're healing, you're getting through your experiences and your traumas that you may have experienced together or separately, things of that nature. So like I said, you want to detach from titles and labels and see people as individuals, and not just who they assign themselves as, or who they are assigned as through that whole family bloodline situation. And then lastly, this was a huge thing for me as I got older, and as I just really became, like I said earlier, really strong in my beliefs and what I believe in as I continue to grow and change. Building self-confidence is a great way to learn how to stop taking things so personally. You're grounded, you know who you are, you don't give people a lot of your power, and you know your worth. So a lot of times when you take things, like I was saying earlier, when you take things personally all the time, you start to think that something is wrong with you. You tend to, overly analyze yourself, and you start to overly criticize yourself, when a lot of times, like I said, it's not you, it's them. So for me, like, I went on a journey, and I'm still continuously on a journey of building my self-worth and my confidence. And one way I do that is through Christ. I know that God sees me as royalty. He sees me as powerful. He is within me. So if God is within me, who can be against me? If God is within me, He is leading me towards righteousness. He's leading me towards greatness, towards, just being in this faithful slash this prosperous mindset, and also like a successful mindset, and also an abundant mindset. So if I have that within me, there's no way I can fail, and there's no way that things won't work out for me. Not to say that I'm perfect, not to say that I won't have trials and tribulations, but it's to say that no matter what, I will get through what I need to get through, and that I can get through anything or accomplish anything that I want to. And so when you have that type of mindset, you don't let people just say what they want to say, treat you any kind of way, nor do you internalize what people say about you. And that's the thing, like, you want to let the naysayers be naysayers. You want to let the family members, the friends, the haters, whatever you want to call it, you want to let them be them. You want to detach yourself from taking on the identity that other people put on you. And so one of the best ways to not take things so personally is to know who you are, know what your beliefs are, and know who you are living for and what you are living for. So this comes with a lot of healing. It comes with a lot of self-discovery. It comes with a lot of knowing your skills and knowing who you are. I actually just had a huge revelation for myself, because as I've been mentioning in my past videos, for the past 2 months, I've been working this job, and I actually will be touching on this in another video, but more specifically and in depth. But I haven't been officially promoted yet, but this week I started training to be promoted into a new position, a higher position, a leadership position. But the thing is, they wanted to promote me like a whole month ago. Like, I had only been in the job for a couple of weeks, and they were like, we're going to put you in leadership. And this is my first leadership position. But the thing is, I realized how strong my work ethic and my presence really is. I already knew that I'm a type A personality. Like, I love to be in control of everything. I'm someone who works really hard. I'm someone who is very disciplined. I'm consistent. I'm dependable. I'm reliable. I work really hard in anything that I do. And other people can see that. Any job I've had, I've always been the best employee. I'm always the one that, my bosses love, and they can count on me to get the job done. And so with that being said, with me having this promotion coming up, I'm like, dang, like, I really hold so much power. I have such powerful energy. God is moving in me in amazing ways. And it made me realize how strong my skill set is of just being a leader and being someone that likes to see things work and likes to build up other people and help and guide other people, in a sense of, while I'm in this space, I'm basically telling people what to do. I'm delegating what to do. I was already doing that before they even mentioned the idea of me moving up into leadership. And so with all that being said, when you know yourself, you know your value, you are aligned, and you know your worth. And what I mean by that is, I have coworkers who are upset because I'm being promoted when they thought that they were being promoted. Now, me personally, I can look at them and tell them why they're not being promoted. Not as in physically, but as in their work ethic, the way they talk, the way they speak, the way they carry themselves, and even their confidence. It took for even the owner and the managers to tell me girl, you're so type A. And it's I already know that. But for them to see that within me, it tells them a lot about myself and my confidence and the way that I carry myself. So I know that about myself. And the thing is, I could easily be offended that my coworkers are upset about me being in this position and, having this opportunity. But I'm not, because I know my power, I know my worth, and I know what my skill set is. And I'm not surprised of the fact that I'm being moved up into a leadership position. So when you know yourself, you know your power, you know what you're capable of, and you are confident in who you are, you won't have time to worry about what he said, she said, what they doing, what he doing, or just caring about what's going on around you in the sense of what people are saying about you from a negative perspective. You won't take those things personally. Like, I know they're upset. Hey, I would be upset too if I walked into a job, or if I had this job, I've been here for a year. This girl walk in, she only been here for a month and she already been promoted. Yeah, I would be upset. But at the same time, that would also mean there's something I'm doing wrong. And that's what people don't do. They don't take accountability. They're always focused on the outside, and they're always focused on another person instead of looking within and taking accountability and figuring out what they are doing wrong and what they can really do better, and also learning what their specific skill set is. So if you want to stop taking things so personally, build your confidence, learn who you are, go on the healing journey, let go of all those traumas, let go of titles, let go of being attached to labels and titles from family members. Don't let those things have a hold on you. Don't let people treat you any kind of way. Don't let people make you feel like because they have a certain title, they have some type of hold over you, because they do not. And also start to understand human nature and understand how we operate, how and why we think about things in a certain way. There are probably thousands, if not millions, of videos on these different subjects, and the information is out there for you to learn, and you can take it and apply it to your personal life. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you can take some tips from it. These are things that I would tell my siblings, anybody who is in my circle, and I've helped my friends with this because they know that I'm that person who don't take things personally. I don't sweat the small stuff, and that's why I am on this journey of success. I know that I'm going to be an amazing, great leader in this world, in this lifetime, because of a lot of these principles and things that I have said in this video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you can take something from it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.